we live in a world of a lot of sequels and reboots and just adaptations of things which we may not actually need. And when I saw the first trailer and announcement for creator, I was very interested in something which was original and new to the film genre. Now, I am a very big sci-fi fan. I am a huge fan of Avatar and all of, any sort of sci-fi, Star Wars, anything. I will take that. And the creator was something which really stood out to me when I first saw the trailer, because I didn't really have a whole lot of excitement levels, but the trailer just sort of won me over. And I managed to see it, and this review may be a little bit late. Sorry, I normally do see films like on the release day, but this one was a little bit late. But more to the point, I really enjoyed this film, and I'm really happy with how this film actually turned out. So let's get started. We're going to be reviewing The Creator today. So I'm really excited to talk about this because it was a film which really stood out to me. And like I've already just mentioned, it's because it is so original that it isn't based on anything. It's not based on a book, it's not based on a game, it's not a reboot. It is completely original. And it's really refreshing to get that, as that in modern Hollywood, we don't really get that. We live in a society of superhero films, live action adaptations of films, and sequels. And this film is one of those one-off, no sequel sort of films. And I really do appreciate that, because it's fresh and new and you never know the different twists and turns it's going to take. And the thing which also I really liked is I actually really cared about these characters. Now, it doesn't come to much surprise to me. I connect very easily with film characters. It's kind of rare that I don't find some emotional connection in some angle to these characters. But these ones, very easily, right off the bat, I did. And it's not that these characters sort of did connect to me emotionally. They're just really likeable, but also have that emotional and heartfelt story inside of them. And also, believe it or not, this film doesn't actually have a crazy big budget. It's not that high budget. It is pretty low budget, but the CGI looks better than anything Marvel has put out, even though their budgets are like 250 mil, and it's like, how can they have a low budget sort of film and have this good of CGI? And I really did like that. And it's just so glamorous and it's so immersive to look at the same time. And one thing I did want to mention with this is I'm really relieved, because this film clocks in at 2 hours and 13 minutes. So it's actually not that long. And I really did like that, because I've complained quite a lot recently with, say, the Batman 2022 or the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 film, or just all these films. They're just too long. But this one is actually not. It's just over 2 hours, and I really appreciate that, because I could 100% have seen them stretching this out into a 3-hour-long film, and it really didn't need to be. Yeah, maybe they could have closed it with an extra, could have been 5 minutes shorter, but I've seen all sorts of opinions on the internet. Some saying it's too long, some saying it's too short. I think it was pretty good for what it was. And another thing that I'd like to say about this film is it is deeply emotional. Now, I'm not going to give away anything, but right off the bat, you are kind of introduced to this world in which they live in, which our characters live in, and it is incredibly emotional to experience, because sadly, and I don't want to go too far into this because I know there's a lot going on in the world at the moment and I don't want to upset any viewers or anything, but obviously what is going on in the world at the moment is incredibly heartbreaking and not a very nice thing which is going on. And this film captures that in a way which can really connect to viewers. It really establishes the effect war can have on individuals and their families. and it is heartbreaking sometimes. This film is heartbreaking when it needs to be, and it really gets and digs into your emotions. Even if it isn't trying to, it's just showing this war and this dystopian world in which these characters live in, and it's incredibly emotional, and it really got me there. Now, I would like to just talk about a little mixed stuff as well. So the mixed things isn't bad, it isn't good, it's just kind of things which you need to know when going into this film. First thing on here is there's no credit scene. There's no mid, there's no end credit scene, there's nothing. Once the film ends, it's done. There's literally nothing. There's not even like a little message at the end saying this character will return. No. And quite frankly, I don't expect a sequel to this film. If I'm completely honest, I don't expect them to do one. So that's kind of that. And also, I would like to point out is that this film is not going to be for everyone. This is a film which is incredibly serious. There's little to no humour in this film. It's very deep. So it's one of them films where you need to go into it knowing what you're going to get. Because this is going to be a film which isn't going to be for everyone. There is a lot of people, and I've seen on the internet and in real life, who just would rather not watch this film because of the war and the gritty storyline. And I don't blame them, because I can 100% see where anyone is coming from here. It is deeply emotional, and if you are sensitive to something like that, do keep that in mind. And then, this film isn't perfect, so one issue I did have, leaning into the bad here, is that I found this film to be overly and incredibly predictable. 20 to 30 minutes happen in this film. You can piece together how it's going to end. You're like, yeah, this is connected to this is how it's going to play out, this is going to happen. And I predicted what I was going to do, what it was going to do, and it happened. I even, the people I went with, I was like, did you predict this? And they were like, yeah. And I've even checked on the internet. Yes, this film is incredibly predictable. And there's not really anything I can suggest when going into this film, really. Maybe just switch your brain off and physically just don't let it predict. I found this film to be incredibly predictable, but at the end of the day, there's not anything which you as an individual can do when going into that, because it does seem like one of those issues which you could probably try and get over, but no, it is incredibly predictable. And, there's that. And another thing I want to say here is there's just some familiar aspects in this. Now, yes, it is original, but I've heard a lot of people, and I'm sorry, I do keep saying I've heard a lot of people, but it has got a lot of tropes from many other action sci-fi films, including things like The Terminator, Rogue One, the Star Wars story, which quite literally, this is from the same director as Rogue One, so you would kind of see that. And just some of the set pieces, like there's this big ship that's in the air, that looks familiar from certain action films and just sci-fi films in general, so it's probably something which you could piece together and you could see that. So not many issues, that's kind of all I've got, but these are kind of, then they don't drag down the film that much for me, but predictability, it is very frustrating, and also it is kind of familiar. I mean, if you're someone who doesn't watch films all the time, you don't keep up with every MCU film or something, this is probably actually going to be pretty good for you, because it's going to be something fresh, it's going to be something new, but this film isn't going to work for everyone. It really isn't. And it's kind of upsetting, because I do know a lot of people who have had just mixed reviews on it and just have not liked this film, while others have loved it. And I really did love this film. I thought it was really, really good. It's not perfect, but I'm glad it's a film we have. And I'm glad that there is some sort of originality going on in modern society, because I'm like everyone else, I am bored of constant sequels, reboots, and everything like that. So I'm really relieved that we got something like this, and it's sad because this film has done really bad at the box office, and it's sad because I want more films like this, films which are original, not based on a true story, not based on a book, a game. I mean, I love them, but it's good to have these newer in-tech films as well. But overall, I'll give this film a solid 8 out of 10. But yeah, guys, that is going to wrap up this video. Please do comment, like, and subscribe, share this with your friends, family, and let me know your thoughts on the creator down below in the comments. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it yet? And yeah, I would definitely say this is getting up there for the, top 10 movies of 2023 list, because 2023 has actually been a fantastic year for films. I'm not kidding. We've had Mario Brothers, we've had Guardians of the Galaxy, we've had Blue Beetle, and just all of these fantastic films that have just knocked it out of the park. And this is another one of them. So I'm really happy and really excited to go into fall of 2023. But that's all for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.